The fluorescent tubes overhead flickered in a stuttering pulse, casting fractured shadows that danced like macabre phantoms across the peeling walls of the asylum's electroshock room. A stale chemical tang mixed with the faintly metallic scent of rusted instruments hung heavy in the air, as if the room itself exhaled a slow, dreadful breath. Muffled sobs echoed somewhere down the corridor, but here, in the thick silence, time felt suspended, crooked and unbearable. The only sound was the distant hum of failing machinery, reminiscent of a dying heart. Evelyn shifted her weight uneasily on the cold metal chair bolted to the cracked floor. Her fingers traced the jagged outlines of the reverse bear trap, its cold iron prongs gleaming maliciously under the oscillating light. The contraption sat inert on the table beside her, a grotesque trap designed not just to maim but to mock. Its intricate mechanism promised agony measured in agonizing seconds, locking a victim's jaw until a grim deadline forced the jaws apart. Stories whispered among staff hinted it was more than torture. It seemed almost sentient, watching, waiting, hungry for time to erode sanity. She exhaled shakily, glancing at the peeling photographs of patients who had met their fates here, distorted grins, haunted eyes frozen in moments of terror. Evelyn was no stranger to fear. She was the asylum's new psychiatric nurse, assigned here to oversee the electroshock therapies, trying to thread reason amidst madness. But beneath her tired composure lay a silent dread, a cold knot growing as if time itself warped in this room. She felt watched, not just by colleagues or by patients, but by something lurking in fleeting moments and shifting shadows, waiting for the right fracture in time to emerge. Her eyes caught the faintest flicker near the credenza, the glint of a skeletal grin reflected briefly, vanishing when she blinked. She pressed her palms to her temples, heart hammering. The old building groaned around her, walls sweating moisture, floorboards creaking like whispered secrets in the dark. Time stretched taut, and it was only beginning. It had started subtly, these strange disturbances that gnawed away at her resolve. During shifts, the electroshock machine would inexplicably switch settings, jolting patients with pulses that weren't calibrated. Sometimes the reverse bear trap would shift ever so slightly, edges scraping the tabletop as though nudged by unseen fingers. But when she asked around, no one admitted noticing anything amiss. They blamed the asylum's decrepit wiring, the creaky bones of the building, and perhaps her overworked imagination. One evening, while checking the machine logs, she found a series of anomalies. Exact timings where the equipment had powered on overnight without explanation. Curiously, those same nights, patients reported visions of shadowy figures whispering in the darkness, hands reaching for their throats. Evelyn's colleague Harold, a grizzled orderly with a cynical streak, dismissed the claims. "The asylum's got ghosts of its own making," he had said, lighting a cigarette in the break room. Old wounds never heal here, but Evelyn knew there was more. One night, she stayed late, determined to catch the source of the disturbances. The dim corridor lights buzzed unevenly as she shuffled toward the electroshock room. Faint tapping came from inside. As she approached, a shadow parted before the cracked glass panel of the heavy door, slender, elongated fingers clutching the sickly wood frame. Evelyn's breath caught as the door creaked open, revealing emptiness and the oppressive chill of something unseen. The glint of that reverse bear trap caught her eye again, the cruel teeth gleaming like a predator's smile, promising release only in death or madness. The terror escalated the following night. Evelyn arrived to find Harold pale, pacing and whispering near the machine's control panel. "They're back," he muttered, eyes darting to the rusty trap. "It knows us now." Before she could ask, the electroshock machine sparked violently, throwing shadows that writhed grotesquely along walls. The reverse bear trap suddenly clattered to the floor, snapping open with a metallic screech that echoed off the tiles. From the shadows, a figure emerged, gaunt, faceless, with skeletal hands twisted into cruel claws. It moved like time itself, warped quicksilver flickers across the room, body shifting in and out of phases, as if decaying in real time. It leaned over the trap, a grotesque smile peeling the absence of a face apart, hunger dripping from warped jaws. Harold screamed, lunging towards the door, but it slammed shut with an unyielding deadlock. Evelyn grabbed for a nearby flashlight, shining a trembling beam onto the creature. The light seemed to fracture it, forcing flickers of humanity, fleeting glimpses of past patients, twisted and trapped in endless torment. The creature hissed, voice rasping like rust on bone. "Time reveals all. Your cult is mine." Desperation surged. Evelyn leaped to the reverse bear trap, fingers fumbling to disengage the mechanism. The creature zigzagged closer, its form bleeding temporal distortion. The seconds stretched painfully, a cruel countdown pressing on her consciousness. A shriek split the night as Harold vanished into the walls, dragged screaming through cracks that should not exist. Evelyn's mind screamed to fight, but the trap snapped shut behind her, locking around her own jaws with brutal finality. Cold iron bit into teeth, muzzle crushing into agony laced with icy dread. She clawed at the mechanism, hands slick with sweat, every second a monstrous eternity as the room seemed to pulse with temporal malevolence. ****, pain and terror blurred. Flickering images assaulted her mind, faces of patients long gone, memories of electroshock torture, the asylum's buried sins bleeding through cracked time. Time revealed the monster itself. The asylum's hidden evil incarnate, feeding on fear and fractured moments, incarnated in the reverse bear trap's metal teeth. It was not just a trap, but the asylum's caged darkness made flesh, sustained by forgotten horrors and willful blindness. Evelyn's knees buckled, darkness bleeding into her vision, only the cruel ticking of some unrelenting chronometer in her skull marking heartbeats. Then, through the haze, a cold hand gripped hers, faint, fragile, but real. A whisper in the dark, "You're not alone." Clara, a patient once harrowed but still tethered to reality, had slipped through the warped walls. She reached forward with trembling hands, applying a small tool to the trap's intricate lock. Time slowed, groaned, the delay cruel but hopeful. Evelyn screamed as the jaws inched open, allowing breath and bitter freedom. She collapsed, gasping as Clara dragged her away from the electroshock room's maw while that temporal specter faded back into shadows. In the aftermath, the asylum reeled from the inexplicable night. Evelyn and Clara survived, scarred and fractured, their minds splintered by what was seen and endured. Harold was never found, his disappearance a silent echo. Evelyn often caught herself staring at clocks, watching the hands move at normal speed, afraid to see the cracks behind time's face leaking monstrous truths again. The reverse bear trap was locked away in the deepest vaults, under layers of steel and forgotten warnings. Yet sometimes, when the lights flicker and shadows creep too long, Evelyn hears its slow, malevolent metronome ticking beneath the earth, a cruel reminder that time does not heal all wounds. It only reveals what hides beneath, and in these haunted moments she wonders if the true monster was never the trap, but the darkness buried deep inside herself, unfolding, unraveling through every passing second, waiting for time to tear open the fragile mask of sanity. Because in the asylum's electroshock room, time does not simply move forward. Time lingers, twists, and devours, and what it reveals is far worse than any trap.